I'll tell you guys straight away. What I'm going to do now, before we move on, before we do this again for North America, I'm going to tell you guys what my top 5 EU is, and I'll tell you guys straight away. 4 of your 5 are in my top 5. 4 of your guys' 5 are in my top 5, which is pretty impressive. I think that's pretty amazing, actually, that you guys have managed to do that. So congrats, first of all. But I'll reveal my top 5 from 5 all the way to 1 here. And I'm starting off with the one player who I have in my list that none of you guys have, or that Twitch chat as a whole, I know a lot of you guys voted for him, but Twitch chat as a whole didn't vote for him. I've got him in my list. And that is Top Looks Archie. Is it Archie with a small a? Because he's Archie with a small a on Wikipedia. That's why I put a small a. I always thought it was Archie with a capital A. But yeah, Archie with a small a. Still sneaking into my top 5. Top Blokes they've kind of been bottom blokes recently. They've not been playing very well compared to earlier on in this split. But I still think they're a very good team. I still think they've got good potential, and I expect them to make a strong finish to the season. And Archie, for me, is the standout player on that roster, so I've got to put Archie in my top 5. Even though they're not doing very well right now, I still got to put him in there. Now, the other 4 players that I have in my top 5, you guys had in your top 5 as well. So, different order, but we do actually have a lot of similarity here, which is it's pretty surprising actually that this keeps happening, because I always expect that our lists are going to be wildly different, but you guys are getting pretty good at, I don't know if you're just getting pretty good at doing this, or you're just getting good at predicting what I'm going to do and you're just copying me ahead of time. But I have pre-planned this. I've already decided what my top 5 is. My number 4 player in EU at the moment is actually the guy that you guys have at number 2. It's Jorias. I've got Jorias number 2. I've got Jorias number 4, sorry. I think he's been extremely impressive recently. I think, for me, he's been a big reason why Dignitas are playing so well and why they're getting consistent top finishes. And I think it's only up for this guy. I think he's only going to get better. I think Jorias has one of the highest skill ceilings in competitive Rocket League. Maybe the highest right now. Jorias might have the highest skill ceiling currently in competitive Rocket League. There are very few players who are in the kind of same conversation as him. I think maybe only First Killer has the same, like, I think I could only see an argument being made for First Killer in the skill ceiling department. Maybe Justin, maybe. But I think when it comes to skill ceiling, really there are not many players in that conversation. I think just First Killer and Jorias. Really, Justin's a bit of a stretch for First Killer, for skill ceiling. I think he's already kind of like, he's just already there. He's just already like insane. Not sure how much better he can get without expanding his skill set and his weak areas. But anyway, moving on to number 3. My number 3 is, in fact, it's the exact same number 3 that you guys have gone for. I've also got Alpha 54. So you guys have Jorias ahead of Alpha. I've got Alpha ahead of Jorias. And I know that out of my list so far, this is probably the one that will surprise you guys the most, I reckon. I reckon a lot of you probably didn't think I would put Alpha in my list. FIFA 54, yep. But I still think he's extremely effective. I think he's a terrifying player. Like, he can really still pop off to an incredible level. And Vitality did do extremely well in the major. Something I did expect to happen. I did predict this, actually. They were my team that I thought would go to the final with BDS and lose, albeit, but, get there. And I think Alpha, for me, yeah, I'll spoil a little bit ahead of my list here. I think Alpha was the most effective player on Vitality. So yeah, that does spoil probably the remainder of my list. You guys should be able to guess. I've given you adequate information to to guess my number 2 and number 1 with that statement. But yeah, I think that Alpha was, for me, the most effective player on Vitality in the Major, and overall in our LCS Season X, he has been the most effective. So I've got Alpha number 3. But yeah, I think it's kind of like obvious, super obvious even before we started here what my number 1 was going to be. But number 2, Astral, maybe you guys didn't expect this either. I think Alpha Astral might be a bit of a surprise appearing in my top 5. But I've got Astral number 2 because he is just an absolute monster. Now, in the fall split, I was kind of reluctant to put him in the top 5 conversation, even the top 10 conversation, because Oxygen's results were so poor. But in the winter split, especially the most recent events, Oxygen's results have been improving, and Astral is insane. Some of the goals this guy's scoring, no one else is able to score. He really is just able to do stuff no one else can do. He's playing the game in a way nobody else plays. And if Oxygen stay on the current track they're on, I think they're going to make Worlds and do well. They're on a good trajectory right now, upwards, and Astral is unbelievable. He can do just incredible things. So I'm actually putting him number 2. And I think, Shawsek gets back to his closer to his best form, and Farah plays closer to his best. You're talking DreamHack Valencia Farah last year. Basically, Farah and Shawsek need to just get back to that kind of level of consistency. And then yeah, Astro, he's just a one-man wrecking ball. He's going to destroy. But yeah, probably to the surprise of absolutely no one, I do have Monkey Moon as number 1 EU. That was probably obvious going into this, I would guess. So yeah, there's Twitch chat's list, and there's my list. We both agree on Monkey Moon and Alpha, actually. You guys have got Joria's at 2, Astral 4. I've got Astral 2, Joria's 4. But our top 4 is the exact same players. I can't believe this, honestly. I don't know how we've managed to have the exact same 4. I really did expect Twitch chat to put maybe another BDS player in here, higher up, than players like Astral and Alpha. I didn't think Twitch chat were going to go that way. But yeah, I like your guys' predictions, honestly. Fairy Peak is definitely a contender. The 5th spot was kind of hard, actually. 5th spot was definitely hard. I was torn. I mean, honorable mentions include, for me, Zamwe. I think Zamwe has been extremely impressive recently. A lot of you were saying Itachi, but for me, Zamwe, if there was going to be a Giants player on this list, it would be Zamwe. However, that team is just all very solid. I would probably put the entire Giants roster somewhere between 6 and 15 in EU. They're all very good. No weak links in that team. They're all very good. Yeah, K-Dot, Fairy Peak were obviously in the discussion. Extra, Mark by 8, obviously. Apparently Jack. Even Panda's had a good split, or end of the split there. And I think that was probably just about it. Also, I guess Nolly. Nolly had a pretty insane series or two there. Hard to ignore in the last split, but that would have been probably recency bias if I put him at number 5. Probably recency bias. Yeah, Tho as well, actually. He did very well. Tho did very well. Tho's great when they're winning. Tho's great when Guild are winning. And as soon as they start losing, he's not so great. You need a player who's like still effective when you're losing. Still able to play a good game when you're not winning a game, not winning a series. But anyway, have I done NA yet? No, I have not. So that's Twitch chat's EU versus my EU top 5. And now I'm going to reveal my own personal NA top 5. I'll start at number 5. First of all, let me just check how many of the names we agree on. So I told you guys this for the other one as well. Okay, out of your top 5 Twitch chat for NA, 3 of those players are in my top 5. 3 of them. And the first player that I'm going to reveal, my number 5, is not a player that is on your guys' list. You guys didn't have this guy. In fact, you guys didn't even have anyone from this player's team. This player's team got completely cut lots of guesses coming in for Arsenal Sypical right now. And you're right. You're right. It's Sypical. I've got Sypical at number 5 NA. Sypical number 5 NA. Now, I think that all 3 of the SSG players are very kind of close to the sort of 5 to 10 range, 5 to 15, 5 to 12 maybe. They're all like, in that kind of range. They're very even. They're not the kind of team who's got one guy all the way at the top and then the other players are like 15 to 20 kind of range, NA. So actually, you could probably make a case for any of the Space Station Gaming players to be top 5 NA. But probably only one of them right now, given the fact that they're not doing as well as Rogue and NRG. So yeah, I had to pick one, and it has to be Sypical for me, because he's just got a little bit more of a X factor than Rettles and Arsenal do. Rettles has some inconsistent days in defense sometimes. He's very, very smart and he's extremely effective at just making life difficult for other teams. But sometimes he has bad days defensively. Arsenal, very, very, very like good at the off the ball type of stuff. So I think some of the stuff he does for Space Station is often underappreciated. And that's why I've got him pretty close to top 5, even though he's not in my top 5. Sypical's my top Space Station player. But yeah, Sypical is the guy who really just... He's got high involvement in all the success that Space Station have. He's kind of like he's always in the spotlight. So I think that, yeah, Space Station are not a team. They used to kind of be Sypical carrying, like back in the day, like Sypical's teams, whatever team Sypical's on, it was just pretty much Sypical. And then the other guys are just along for the ride. That's not the case anymore, but he still is for me the standout player, and I've got him at number 5 NA. So, moving on to number 4, North America for me. And this is actually another player that you guys did not have in your list. So I'll give you guys a chance to guess who this is. Who could it be? You guys haven't put him in your list. I have. There's a lot of guesses here that are not right. There's quite a few. There's a handful of you that are right. There's too many guesses for me to actually call you out by name. But yeah, you guys, you're gonna know who you are. People who guess correctly. It's Atomic. Atomic with a C. NA Atomic is in my top 5. Comes in at number 4. And yeah, I think although I'm going to maybe do a little bit of a spoiler here, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a spoiler. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Although, in the fall split, Mist was, for me, and I think for most people, the reason why Envy were succeeding. And for me, a lot of the time, Mist was the only guy who actually wanted to score on Envy. Like, no one else wanted to score except Mist. Mist would just score double touches because it's better than passing. Like, if Mist decided in the fall split, it's better to pass to myself using the wall than to pass to either of my teammates, because these guys don't want to score, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it all myself. Like, Mist was literally doing everything himself in the fall split because Atomic and Turbo didn't want to score. In some games. I'm exaggerating. But now that is no longer the case. I think that Atomic is really stepping up. I think he's he's on the same level mechanically as Mist, in my opinion, and he actually brings more to the team in defense than Mist does. So I think Atomic is a massive threat, just like Mist offensively. A huge presence on the field. He's getting better in terms of confidence and consistency. The kind of mistakes, I think I saw him backflip by mistake twice in the fall split in a series. I forget what it was, but now he's getting better. He's improving, and that's why I've got him in my top 4. He's a real force to be reckoned with. Really, really good player. Very well rounded. But yeah, the other 3 players, I did say this earlier, the other 3 players in my list for NA are actually players that you guys had in your top 5. You guys can guess right now which of your top 5 I've got at number 3. Man. Everybody. Well, not everybody. Visually, I mean, I'm kind of having to just I don't have a photographic memory, so I'm trying to just look at chat and see what you guys are mostly going for here. Yeah, it looks like you guys are mostly going for Garrett G to be my number 3, but not all. A lot of you have got this right. A lot of you have got this right as well. My number 3, NA, is AJ. AJ right now is insane. AJ is to the peeps what first killer is to rogue. And I think he can actually be like a kind of first killer level player if he finds the right team like first killer has. First killer has got a team right now around him that works extremely well, especially on Championship Sundays apparently. And if AJ can find a way to work better with his current team, Gyro and Illusion, maybe he could be like the next first killer for NA. I think that they're both very similar kind of players, actually. Except AJ is a bit more flamboyant and first killer is a bit more solid. But yeah, I think AJ is insane right now. Easy top 3 for me. Wasn't a difficult decision. Atomic and Sypical were actually close to a few of my honorable mentions who I didn't put on the list, who I didn't put on my top 5. AJ's not in that category. He was an easy top 3. My top 3 was not difficult for me to decide on, but AJ's number 3 out of those 3. And I think the top 2 should be pretty obvious now that I've said that. Top 2 probably obvious now that I've said that. Now that I've said the top 3 was easy to decide on. I'll give you guys a chance to guess the order here. Who do you guys think I've got at 1? Who do you think I've got at 2? Let's just see. Type in chat 2 names, the first who I've got at number 1 first, and then who I've got at number 2 second. Let's see what chat thinks. Yeah, I think most people, a lot of people are putting Garrett in my top 2 right now. Actually, a lot of people have got Garrett high. I rate Garrett. Garrett's insane. He's the greatest North American player of all time. But he's not who I've got second right now. Right now, I've got his teammate Justin second. But that's not how you spell Justin, so nobody saw that. Justin number 2. Yep, of course, that's all you guys are going to type is when I spell it wrong. Should have copy pasted that from another window. Lesson learned. Yeah, Justin is my number 2. Justin. It's quite difficult to say that actually. Justin is number 2 NA. And he was the only other player in the running for number 1 of my list. The only other player. He was close, very, very close. But I think that Justin's supporting cast is a lot better than the supporting cast of my number 1. And that's not something that that can be, really, that we can use to take away from our, it's not something I use to take away from my estimation of Justin's, but it is something that I really do have to praise his competition here for being able to succeed with, on paper at least, and even visibly, less help around him. But yeah, you guys probably already know where I'm going with this. Should be pretty obvious. Should be pretty predictable, you could say. But I'll go ahead and reveal it for you, just in case you haven't figured it out already. Number 1, NA, obviously has to be Musty. He just got signed by NRG as a sub, and I'm doing air quotation marks here. It's, sub with, you gotta do the quotes with your hands when you say sub, because we already know what's really happening here. This is just step number 1 of cutting someone from the NRG roster. If I was Justin, Garrett, or Squishy, I'd be very, very careful right now. They might think that NRG are just signing Musty because he's a very popular content creator. But if you look more closely, and if you've been analyzing his gameplay and his meteoric rise recently in the Rocket League scene, then you'll know that there's actually a lot more going on here than meets the eye. This is a benching in the making. We don't know yet who's going to get benched, but somebody's getting benched. You know, Garrett, Justin, and Squishy, they better be working hard here. They might feel quite comfortable. They just won the major for the winter split in North America, but that might be the worst thing that they could have done right now. Because a lot of times in Rocket League, when you win, you kind of get soft a little bit. You stop grinding, and this would be the worst time for these NRG players to stop grinding, because Musty's right there, nipping at their heels, ready to take their spot. In fact, I did have it leaked to me recently. I'm not going to be able to show you guys the graphic for this for legal reasons. I can't show it on stream because I have signed a contract promising I won't leak this. But I have seen a graphic similar to this Team Singularity graphic announcing the benching of Godsmilla. But they've just like put in a silhouette with no head on there. It's an NRG like jersey on the player. And yeah, they've just left a space to like slap in the face of Squishy, Garrett, or Justin, whoever they decide to bench. They've just left a gap to slap the face on there. And they've left like the name empty for now. But that's all I needed to see to know where this is going, to know what is happening here. And I think that the smart ones among us will have already picked up on this. Someone's getting benched. Garrett, Justin, Squishy, you guys better be careful. You better be grinding. Musty is coming for any and all of those spots in no particular order. He'll take anyone's spot. He's ruthless. Ruthless businessman. So yeah, that's my list there. Pretty similar to you guys. Had to bait you a little bit, saying that we had 3 players the same. Wanted to leave it up in the air. Wanted to keep you guessing. But yeah, that's us completed here. Job done. Now do top 10 world. Oof, I've not even thought about that, to be honest. I've not even thought about that. I will have to go and give that some thought. Type 1 in chat if you guys want to see top 10 players world in a future stream. I'll have to go give it some thought, because I don't just, make this up. Before coming up with these lists, I make sure to watch pretty much all of the Rocket League content that involves these players. Before doing this, I watched all of the RLCSX games for Cypical, Atomic, AJ, and Justin. And then I stapled my eyelids to my forehead and turned on Musty's YouTube channel with autoplay enabled. And I watched it all. It took a while. I watched all of it. I saw the improvement. I see the work ethic. And, with a little bit of fancy editing, some of those goals look they look really good. So, I mean, as long as Musty brings his editor into professional games, I'm sure he's going to be able to, turn those crossbar shots into bar downs. All the whiffs are going to be edited out. Like, just all it needs is a little bit of post-production. He's going to be... That's why I've got him number 1. I mean, none of the other guys on this list have even... I don't think they've even got editors. Never mind editors on the level of Musty's editors. I mean, he's got the best editors, so... Like, I'm probably not allowed to talk about this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. The spring split is going to be pre-recorded. Everything you see is going to be pre-recorded, shoe on head. That's what's going to enable Musty to shine to the fullest. I mean, he's already shining, but he's going to be so bright, nobody's going to be able to look at him. Bright Rick, thanks for the 6-month tier 1. Welcome to the channel. Johnny's roasting Musty. What are you talking about, man? What? Yeah, don't tell anyone that. That's a secret. So don't tell Psionics. Don't tell your friends. Don't even tell your goldfish. We can't trust anyone. You never know who the imposter is. So that's the secret. It's only going to improve competitive Rocket League. It's going to take competitive Rocket League to the next level. I mean, you guys think my content is scripted? Wait until you see actual scripted content. It's going to be unbelievable. Right. What time is it? Oh my days, it's 3:25 in the morning. Why did I go live so late tonight? I've got to... Right, a lot of you guys wanted to see top 10 players world. I will go and figure that out. And do that... another stream. I'm not going to do it now. I'll do another stream soon. But I have actually got my top 10 EU 1v1 players list. I've done my calculations for that one, so I'm going to do that one probably tomorrow at a more EU friendly time. I'm going to do my EU top 10 1v1, so be sure to follow me on Twitter if you want to catch that stream when it goes live, because Twitch's discoverability and notifications are not the best. Mussy and Jesse aren't number 1 and 2. Then you aren't trying. A lot of people are like asking right now, is Johnny serious? Is he actually not changing Musty? Why is Johnny roasting Musty? I'm kind of confused, like, at the volume of these questions. You know, usually we have 1 or 2 trolls in the chat, but there's a lot of you tonight. Like, obviously I'm not trolling here. I'm dead serious. Change the list? What do you mean change the list? This is... obviously it's not changing. I mean, I planned this before I went live.